Hello and welcome to the American Soccer Crash Course. This is a podcast primer for the United States at the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. Men's national team, that is. I'm Christian Lee here with Lodge Dils today. Lodge, you want to tell the pod what you're all about?
Yeah. Lifelong soccer enjoyer. Played in high school and a little bit of club. Current beer league player. So that's just a little bit about me.
Washed?
Washed, for sure. Definitely washed. Christian?
You can't be washed if you never played.
That's fair.
That's something about me. So I've never kicked a ball in my life. That's not true. Everyone plays soccer as a kid, but I've never actually kicked a ball in my life. So I became a fan of soccer in high school through FIFA, like I know many people do.
Sure.
So I became a fan in fall 2014, which is literally the worst time in terms of U.S. soccer. That is like a few months after their last World Cup. Mm-hmm. So I am absolutely just busting at the seams ready to get this World Cup.
Ready to go.
Yeah. I'm so pumped for this World Cup. Literally, I don't think I've waited 8.5 years for anything in my life. So lots of anticipation going into it. Basically, Lodge and I got our jerseys out here. I'm a Dortmund fan.
Yeah.
That's a team in Germany.
I'm the Bayern fan, the one in red, the better one. But yeah.
So basically the two rival teams in Germany. That's who I root for club-wise, but especially in recent years as this World Cup has been coming up, big kind of point of excitement for me has been watching these Americans play. Mm-hmm. And as we're going to get to, like the big trends that have been happening in American soccer. So that's kind of the way I watch soccer. In addition to fantasy and a couple other things, but that's something I love about soccer, that there's so many different ways you can do it. So, the U.S. men's national team, Lodge.
Yeah. Topic at hand.
We're gonna hit the streets soon. You and I. We're gonna ask some hard hitting questions to unsuspecting, people on the street. But I venture to say that we're gonna find there's a severe lack of knowledge out there.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Probably more about the women's team or just international players more than the U.S. men's team, definitely.
Right. And obviously there's the U.S. is a melting pot. You have lots of people, rooting for different clubs and have different interests in other teams and whatnot. Like, of course, the U.S. is actually, fun fact, like the biggest seller of tickets to the World Cup every year. Mm-hmm. The misleading fact there is it's not really about the U.S. men's national team as much as it is the Mexican national team and maybe even, I don't know what's next, Italy, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Big populations within the U.S. But we're U.S. men's national team fans. That's what we're here to talk about.
Right.
And there is a knowledge gap out there, and kind of just people don't know much about the team. So why would you think that is right off the bat?
It's a kind of a loaded question. The U.S. men's team, definitely, there's not a lot of knowledge about the national team, more than likely because just the lack of popularity of the sport within the United States. I mean, other countries, while they have smaller sports, soccer has always been the biggest thing, or football, as they call it. But for the United States, we have basketball, we have baseball, we have football, three huge sports that we've created. We have full fan bases about, although they started to branch out internationally, their home turf is definitely in the United States. Soccer is the international sport. It's the one that everybody watches across the world, but not everybody follows it within the United States, and that's really just because of the other ones that are kind of taking the spotlight now.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. I would agree, and I think that's probably the view most people take on whether you're a soccer fan or not. So my theory. You want to hear my theory?
Let's hear it.
I guess you're gonna have to. I don't know if you have too
much choice. I don't really have a choice here. Yeah,
but I think that lots of American sports, whether that be baseball, the count's 2-1. Football, it's 2nd and 9. Basketball, we're scoring almost every time down the court. There's kind of a sense of progress in the numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
In soccer, that's not really the case.
Right.
You got on your ticker at the top, it's going to have a score and it's going to have a time. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe others do, but the score is not. There's not a lot on the score.
Right.
A lot of times, It can be 1-0, and it doesn't even tell you a lot about what's happened at the game, and who might win out or whatever it may be. Albeit it is by far the most important thing. But so, in my opinion, I think that Americans watching sport, I think that's a big kind of roadblock, if you will.
It's a numbers thing, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's always been what I tell myself. Beyond that, though, there's obviously a lot about soccer that turns like American sports watchers off. I think on our podcast, that's not going to be something we shy away from.
Probably.
Like my message would be I love soccer. Like despite that, like some of the flopping or bad penalty calls or whatever it may be.
Time wasting.
Yeah, time wasting is a huge one. That just sometimes the best part of the soccer game is just to watch the first half, not at the end, because it gets so ugly. But I think like as we go into this podcast, it's our kind of selling point is actually going to involve like, hey, that definitely exists. We're definitely aware of it, but we love this game because it really delivers and it's awesome for a variety of reasons. So. In terms of the U.S. men's national team, so say that's baseline soccer for, everyone in the country. That's where this country stands in soccer. Why do you think that people have probably been more attracted to the women's team? And I can even think being on vacation and having like 25 family members all sitting there watching Carly Lloyd just absolutely chip the keeper from half field. I can remember that. That's like a family sports moment for me. I have none of those with the U.S. men's national team. So off the rip.
America likes winners. Who are the biggest fans that you can think of right now in American sports? Boston, number one. The Yankees, New York, places like that where they have proven winning teams that consistently go out and win championships. The women they're attractive. They're fun to watch. They're attractive style of play. The style of play is definitely attractive is what I'm saying. But no, they go out and they perform. For a fact, they've had bigger tournaments. The U.S. missed the last World Cup. We'll definitely get more into that and why. But they're more on the main stage internationally than the U.S. men's team has, and more power to them. They definitely have shown out, and we definitely have not as the men's team.
Yeah. And it's nothing short of amazing for sure. But there's definitely a lot of reasons for optimism. I almost want to back that up. There's a ton of reasons for optimism. That's why we're making a podcast. That sounded so sad. We are here because this is a super unique, awesome moment in USA soccer, U.S. men's soccer, that is, where we're seeing things we've never seen before and reasons to believe that we can compete with the best countries in the world in a way that we never have before. And whether that's imminently in 2 months or in 4 years when we have the 2026 World Cup, there's just super encouraging signs. And we're going to get into the people who really spurred that trend. Yeah. We're going to get into the trend, the kind of micro trends for these players that have allowed them to succeed and work their way up the ladder at some very big establishments within soccer. Yeah. And my take on the U.S. men's national team and the kind of lack of knowledge, lack of support, I think it comes down to eyeballs. So to use U.S. goalie Matt Turner, he had a story in an interview with ESPN recently, and they asked him how he as you can speak to the goalie here. Yeah. America has historically done a good job of producing goalies. Yep. It's
best by far. Yeah.
Right.
Best position by far.
Right. And you think about using your hands, things that translate with American sports, right? Sure. And so Matt Turner, who's actually going to be one of the older people on the team, was talking about being in high school, I think it was, and he watched the 2010 World Cup. Yeah. And so he was between soccer and basketball and maybe baseball or something, and seeing the World Cup fired his ass up, and that's what made him want to go full soccer all the time. And he ended up, he is where he is now. We're going to tell you about him. Yeah. But so it's eyeballs. The U.S. women have played since the men's World Cup in 2014, and don't get me wrong, they missed the damn thing, so it's completely their fault. But the women have played 2 Olympics and 2 World Cups. They've won both of those World Cups.
Right.
I got that right. Right.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, I know they've won both for sure. And the men have had no major tournament, or I guess they played 1 Copa America, which that's not even a tournament they regularly play in. So it just so happens that with where the U.S. is located soccer wise, the World Cup is it.
Yeah.
And those games, like, those captivate the nation. They got everyone's attention. We got a game on Black Friday against England.
That's a big one. It's going to be huge.
There's only going to be a little bit of football on. Like this is the time that they got to capture kind of the hearts and minds, if you will, of Americans. And it's kind of TBD. It's up to them.
Yeah.
This year. So this is a great opportunity and a real coming out party. And we're going to be here to kind of fill in the blanks for you on everything else this team's been doing for the last 8 years.
Yeah. Hopefully be a little bit of a guide while we kind of progress and just get ready for this World Cup. I mean, me personally, I'm very excited. I've been waiting for this for, how long now? 8 years?
Yeah,
8 years?
8.5, because as we'll get to, FIFA sold the World Cup to Qatar, and we're playing it in the fall, which sucks. But
yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a story for another podcast episode, but we'll get there.
So as we touched on, we're gonna fill in blanks, but the point here is not at all to like educate, like, especially as we talk about the men's team versus the women's team. There's not some great injustice. We are just here to really enhance.
Yeah.
And we want to enhance the experience of everyone watching. Now, some of you maybe going, yeah, well, I'm a casual fan. Like, I'm going to turn the TV on and tune in for those games.
Right. And
I don't need to know exactly what goes on. Well, here's what I tell you. John Strong, who's the lead announcer on Fox for all these games, he's all right. But this is a really good quote that he had.
Okay.
He said he referred to the World Cup as the greatest collective experience you can have, like the greatest collective human experience that we all have.
Yeah.
That kind of collective. You sit back and that's kind of a ridiculous statement, but then you like run the numbers. World wars. I mean, that's no good. Like what else? The Olympics. Okay, it's like between that and the Olympics. There's
pandemic maybe.
Pandemic.
That brought everybody together.
Also not great.
Yeah.
Like on a very fundamental level, there's not a whole lot the whole world gets in on.
Right.
And the World Cup is awesome. It's literally like a party for a whole month. It is just fantastic. It's once every 4 years. It's worth. Let me tell you, it is worth going all out for. I just moved from Eastern time to Central time. That means I'm going to have to wake up at like 4 a.m. for games or whatever. But it's worth it. It is such a fantastic tournament and event. I think it is the pinnacle of sports.
Yeah.
I watch all kinds of sports. I'm not just a soccer homer, but it really is fantastic. And on the subject of enhancement, like you look at like Netflix Drive to Survive, right? Lodge, have you seen Drive to Survive?
I'm well acquainted.
You're well versed.
Yeah.
So granted, caveat, it is kind of like reality TV. That's part of the appeal.
Yeah, 100%.
But on like a fundamental level, you watch F1. If you watched F1 without Drive to Survive, well, like what would you think?
Mean, it's like the American equivalent of NASCAR. So they're making a left turn, they're making another turn. Like it's kind of just like, oh, they're driving super fast. You don't understand the little nuances of people passing people,
right.
The rivalries, everything that goes along with it. You don't understand like the why behind, somebody just crashes into somebody and you don't understand like, oh, there was a lot building up to that. You know? The show definitely enhances that. And I think that's part of what we're trying to do here is just kind of build in that knowledge base. So when you see something on those games that we're talking about, Black Friday, you understand the why behind it, and you understand, why England is going to be one of the biggest games for us, why we're going to absolutely go bonkers when we beat them. It's going to be great.
Exactly. Get the propaganda in now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and like, I mean, I Drive to Survive does a fantastic job of making it look like everyone hates each other's guts, but like we're going to try and paint the picture for you along the way about like these dudes on the team and like why we like them. Like I think this is an incredibly likable team. It's going to be the youngest team at the World Cup by a full 2 years, I believe. I believe the average age is somewhere around like 23, 24, which is just crazy. And you think about that in terms of a World Cup at home coming in 2026.
Yeah.
Like it's exciting.
It's very exciting.
So yeah. So in terms of soccer and being a casual fan and bridging the gap between the casual fan and the diehard, like I very much was a not even casual soccer fan. Like knew absolutely nothing. It was like pulling teeth getting me to even watch the last World Cup. To be totally honest with you, I don't even think I watched a ton of it. But like getting into FIFA, which sounds kind of stupid, but like that I haven't played FIFA in a couple of years now.
Oh yeah, I quit.
But yeah.
It was an addiction.
It was a labor of love for you.
I had to get out. Yeah.
Like personally, I mean, and you played, so like that's probably a more logical entry point. But like, getting to know players, getting to know like countries and their like their cultures and how they play and things like that. That took the game from absolutely nothing, paint on a watching paint dry kind of thing to like one of my favorite sports, probably my favorite sport. And so that's like, again, what we're hoping to do here, but not only just like the U.S. men's national team, but also soccer, which, as we discussed, hasn't exactly caught on, but is very much on the rise in the U.S.
100%. Yeah. A little more point about FIFA. They do a fantastic job, like other games that you play, like Madden Ultimate Team or like NBA 2K, where you have the My Teams. That's the way that I learned all the different players in all the different leagues, was really just making those teams, doing, getting players and being like, oh, this guy's from this country. He plays for this team. That's how I got well acquainted. Now, whenever I watch a game, like I kind of know the history of the players because I've been playing the game since like 7-8 years ago. So I can say like, oh, he's transferred from here and now he's gone here. Different countries, different play styles. You see the player progression. I mean, like, an 84 to an 87, you're like, wow, that guy really stepped it up this year. It's pretty cool to see that progression from year to year, definitely.
All right, so how this podcast is going to break down and work. Lodge and I have a starting 11. It looks pretty similar, I believe.
I hope so.
And at the very least, we're gonna break things down by a rough starting 11. We're going to introduce you to these guys and get you acquainted with who the U.S. should field against Wales on November 21st at 2 p.m.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to tell you like a little bit about their stories. There's a lot of different backgrounds in this team, and about their careers, which happen largely outside of the scope of the national team. As I told you before, this is objectively the most exciting moment in U.S. soccer history. I don't even think that's. I should say, long-term health of the program moment.
Definitely.
Like Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman. Yeah, we just got our ass beat by Marshall, but we're healthy.
We're healthy.
Like I said, youngest team at the World Cup, tons of talent, and pretty soon, like the World Cup is going to be coming to sitting near you. I mean, okay, 4 years, but it's coming.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing is that we know that these guys can play with the best of them. I mean, they're over in those leagues now. For the past couple, every World Cup before this, it was pretty much we would bring guys from the MLS, which is the US's soccer league, and they would just be, we have no idea how this team's going to perform on an international level.
And it was gritty.
It was gritty.
There
was a lot of grit behind those teams.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that's something that's different. That's something that we're going to dive deep into. And like going hand in hand with that, I think one thing that I find super cool about this team is there are a lot of kids who have like, I can only be so dramatic about this, but sacrificed like a lot to really like forward U.S. soccer and their careers, but things that normal kids like us are not risks that we're not taking.
100%.
So that's going to be cool to really dive into on an individual basis because there are some super cool stories out there. Personally, the Christian Pulisic episode is I can't wait to go over that because. Just, maybe polarizing at times, but just absolutely, like, in my opinion, a legend for what he did for American soccer. So that episode's going to come up in a little bit, and I can't wait for that. So in addition to these 11 players that we're going to field, we've come up with topics and, like, basically trends associated with these guys that we're gonna pair together in our episodes. So, for example, a big thing has been dual national recruiting. We're going to highlight one of our best dual national players that will start. Things like that. These topics and these players, these bios and these trends will really be hand in hand in our episodes. So we're looking forward to really exploring those through the lens of the specific starters. Additionally, we're going to really bring you through this soccer season. We got 2 months until the start of the World Cup. This week, as we are releasing this, the U.S. men's national team are playing their 2 final friendly games, basically warm-up games for the World Cup. And so we're going to see them in action, and then they're going to get a lead-up of club games before they head out to battle in Qatar. So
ship off to camp, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So our structure of our episodes is going to be specifically designed so that we get you watching these Americans in some of their best games, some of the most highlight games around soccer that really can display the best parts of what it's about. And we're super excited to deliver it in this format and kind of tie these trends together. We ultimately hope any prospective audience likes it. So
yeah.
So Lodge, one thing we want to track over the course of this time, we're going to do a deep dive into all these dudes based on a lineup, but ultimately things change. My favorite player, Marco Reus, in 2014, he was supposed to be one of the best players on Germany. He tore his ACL a month before, misses the World Cup.
Tragic.
Super brutal. There's no, we'll get him next year. It's brutal. And so that kind of thing is, 26 dudes that we're looking to take to Qatar. It might happen to somebody.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's not an ACL. Hopefully it's something a lot less. But bottom line is, you and I have what we think this first game against Wales is going to look like.
Or we hope it looks like, at least.
Exactly. And tracking what happens over the next couple months, whether that be injuries, whether that be guys really breaking out with their clubs and making a name for themselves, or even, most importantly, right now, how they're going to perform in these last couple games before we go to the World Cup.
Right. Yeah. These ones are crucial, definitely, for those fringe guys. It's like for the U.S. basketball team, those guys would go into camp with 40 guys and they would come out with 10. It's not as aggressive as that, definitely, but you have some guys in that where you don't know if you're going to get a roster spot, and you're really playing for it in these last 2 games. So it'll be interesting to see how they perform, definitely.
For sure, and we'll be keeping track of those, the last man in kind of thing on the 26 man, as well as kind of really highlighting for you the bulk of what you need to know in the form of those starters. So we're going to give you our lineups against Wales. They probably don't mean a ton to you if you're who we're trying to target, but ultimately we're going to go through them, have this baseline in our intro episode, and then kind of just chop and change as we go through the year. So Lodge, why don't you give it a rip? What's your lineup look like?
Sure. So I'm going to preface this. This is the team that I want, that I think is still realistic. I think that Greg Berhalter, the manager of the U.S. men's national team, he has a different philosophy than I. However, I think that we can definitely meld them together and come out with a pretty good squad. But just to start off, I'll go from the back. So goalkeeper first. I'm probably going to say Matt Turner is going to start. I think probably over. Oh my God, my name is escaping me. Zach Steffen. Yeah, Zach Steffen.
I would agree with that.
I would agree. Yeah. Left back, a Jedi, Anthony Robinson. Walker Zimmerman and Chris Richards as the center back pairing, and then the right back, Serginho Dest. I think he's pretty much got that one on lock. I don't think you can really argue with that. The midfield, where I think probably you and I are going to start to defer: Tyler Adams, Yunus Musa, and Weston McKennie.
That sounds good to me.
I
like that.
I like it too. I think those are 3 guys that can definitely give us the best chance to succeed. And up top, Christian Pulisic, obviously, definitely going to start.
And you, if you're listening to this, you actually probably know who that guy is.
Yeah, that's the first one, definitely. That one's a no-brainer. But then Timothy Weah, out of the French league. And then probably up top as the number 9, the striker, the main man, Pifak. I think I'm going to go Pifak. I think he's been performing well, and I think he's probably going to get the nod. I think maybe it'll change. It probably will, and I'll probably be wrong and eating my words in a couple months here, but I'm going to say Pifak to start. Christian?
I can't say I'm too disappointed. I have the exact same lineup as you, down to the last man, starting at right wing. I do like Pifak as well. we're going to get into a big theme with the U.S. men's national team is who can actually put the ball in the net, which is the biggest part of soccer, really, and a huge point of contention right now. And so I agree that I think P5 should be the guy to put the ball in the back of the net. However, he doesn't move well necessarily. So I'm going to get, in place of Tim Weah, as you said, Brendan Aronson, who moves very well. He's from New Jersey, and he just looks very energized. Like he's got that East Coast energy to him.
Yeah. He's got that first man in, last man out mentality. You know, he's a real coach's son.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. He's gritty as all.
He's a grinder.
So yeah, that's all we got for our intro episode. Just wanted to kind of break down what this pod's going to look like. We're super excited to bring it to you through this little decoration set together, and I think we're kind of impressed with ourselves a little bit. So
yeah,
so looking forward to delivering this pod over the next couple months. 2 months to Qatar, and we should be back with an episode in a few days on Coach Greg Berhalter. Finally, last little component of our show. The name is the American Soccer Crash Course. Lodge, you ever do watch the Crash Course videos in school?
Yeah.
Super
getting through all the AP World, AP US history, just to survive with those classes. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, super effective. That's kind of like something we're going off of. But in the form of these games we mentioned, we'll give like quote unquote homework that you can like check out or whatnot. So. It's syllabus week, baby. We hit the bars. We got nothing for you this week, but hopefully when our episode drops Thursday on Coach Greg Berhalter, as well as the role of the manager in international soccer, we should be able to point you to some cool stuff. So yeah, that's all we got for you today.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks.
Thank you.